The software of her suitcase wheels glided over the gleaming hardwood as she stepped inside, her heels clicking in a rhythm that felt almost melodic. Eleanor radiated a warmth I hadn't witnessed in years, her radiant grin illuminating the space. She let her bag drop near the door, shrugged off her coat, and moved into the living room with a fluid elegance as if she were drifting on air. "Darling, hello?" she sang, her voice as smooth as syrup. "I've missed you terribly." I placed the coffee cup I'd been gripping for hours on the table. An envelope rested there, its crisp corners and subtle paper aroma piercing the room's stillness. I met her gaze, managing a tight, forced smile. "It's nice to see you back," I said, my voice too steady, too restrained. She leaned forward to peck my cheek, but I shifted just enough for her lips to graze nothing but air. A flicker of something, doubt perhaps, crossed her expression, but it vanished swiftly. Eleanor had always been adept at concealing emotions she didn't want revealed. That's how she'd kept me unaware for so long. "How was your trip?" I asked, leaning back into the sofa, my tone as nonchalant as if I were remarking on the morning's breeze. "Oh, it was marvelous," she answered, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Busy, but rewarding. I think the client was thrilled with our proposal." "That's wonderful," I replied, my words carefully measured. She began unpacking her handbag, pulling out her phone, a stick of lipstick, and the usual trinkets she always kept close. Then her gaze landed on the envelope. Her movements stilled, her eyes narrowing slightly, the vibrancy in them fading just a touch. "What's that?" she inquired, her voice laced with curiosity. "Something you need to see," I said, gesturing toward it. "Go ahead." Her fingers hesitated above the envelope before she picked it up. She glanced at me, her smile lingering but no longer touching her eyes. She opened it and drew out the carefully folded papers inside. Her eyes scanned the first line, then the next, and I watched as the color drained from her cheeks. "What is this?" she whispered, her voice barely a breath. I crossed one leg over the other, resting an arm along the sofa's back. "It's a log of your text messages," I said. "With Daniel." Her head snapped up, her eyes wide with panic. I don't know what you mean," she stuttered. "Don't toy with me, Eleanor," I said, my voice finally sharpening. "I know it all. The hotel stays, the weekend escapes, the work dinners, everything." Her mouth opened, then shut, her hands trembling as she clutched the documents. How did you find out?" she stammered. "That's irrelevant," I replied. "What matters is that it's over." "Over?" she repeated, her voice cracking. "What are you saying?" I rose, my height casting a shadow over her. As I looked down, I said, "This marriage, this charade, it's finished. You've been lying to me for months, maybe years. I've been patient. I've been forgiving. And this is how you repay me." Her lips quivered, tears welling in her eyes, but I felt no pity. "James, please," she begged. "We can discuss this. I can explain everything." "Explain," I said, letting out a harsh, bitter chuckle. "What could you possibly say, Eleanor? That you felt neglected, that you needed excitement? Fine, but you chose to betray me. And now you'll face the consequences." Tears rolled down her cheeks now, but I turned away, heading to the kitchen. "Care for a drink?" I called back. "You might need one." She didn't answer, standing motionless, gripping the papers, her breath hitching in soft sobs. I poured myself a glass of whiskey, savoring the sharp burn as it slid down my throat. When I returned to the living room, Eleanor hadn't moved. "You don't have to do this," she said finally, her voice trembling. "Oh, but I do," I countered. I set the whiskey down and picked up another envelope from the table. "While you were occupied, I was making plans." I handed her the second envelope containing divorce papers. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "No, you can't mean this." "I've never meant anything more," I said. "It's all arranged. The house will be sold. The proceeds split. The car is yours. I've removed my name from the title. Your things are packed and ready to go to your sisters. James, please, she sobbed, reaching for my arm. We can work through this. We can try therapy. Anything you want. I pulled away, my face resolute. Anything? The time for anything was before you chose to ruin what we had. I'm done, Eleanor. You can't change my mind. Her shoulders sagged and she collapsed onto the sofa, her face buried in her hands. I felt a pain, perhaps grief for what we'd lost, or maybe just relief at finally breaking free. Either way, I didn't waver. There's a moving truck outside, I said. The driver will wait for you to gather what you need tonight. The rest will be sent tomorrow. She looked up, mascara streaking her face. And Eleanor, I added, don't contact me again. This is the end. I grabbed my keys and walked out, leaving her amid the ruins of her own decisions. Outside, the air was crisp and cool, hinting at coming rain. For the first time in months, perhaps years, I felt I could breathe deeply. The drive was quiet, the engine's soft hum the only sound. I drove to the coast, parking near the shore, and stepping onto the sand. The sun was sinking below the horizon, casting the sky in hues of gold and crimson. It was tranquil, stunning, the kind of peace I'd longed for. As the waves lapped at my shoes, I let memories of Eleanor slip away with them. There was pain, yes, but also a glimmer of hope, a vision of a future unmarred by deceit and betrayal.